This could be the most mixed game I have ever reviewed. Maybe even played. Well, maybe except for Anthem. But this is my review, and here are my thoughts on Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance on PC. Now, this review has been in the work for a while, so yeah, it's a bit late, but better late than never, right? That's what she said. Yeah, let's get the technical aspect over first, and the footage in this video could be a bit mixed because I got my new GPU after some of these videos were shot. But graphically, the game looks good. I'm playing on the highest settings here, and it looks nice. There are some textures that loads in slower or doesn't seem to load in at all, but this could be my CPU or ROM. But anyway, animations in both gameplay and cutscenes are very nice. I'm very pleased at the work they have done there, and very impressed. Well done. Voice actors do a very fine job, both main characters, the four classes, and other characters as well, like the merchant and enemies and other creatures in the game. There are some technical bugs. I noticed one time my camera started glitching. I couldn't actually turn the camera because I had my mouse instead. I could see the mouse arrow instead of turning the camera, I just moved the mouse. I tried some things, but didn't work. If I quit, and then it, was back to normal again. I didn't have to quit the entire game. I just had to leave the game I was in, the session, the run. Now, the game itself is a looter slasher, if you want to call it that. It's very similar to Warhammer Vermintide 2, except this is a third-person camera and combat is combo based. You choose a mission from a set of, I want to say 7 different missions, 21 in total, or 7 acts with three missions in each. Timing is could be between 10 to 30 minutes, depending on if you're skipping over enemies or if you're doing it all and finding all the secrets, the loot, and the collectibles. Now, the loot is very well random, very random. The loot comes from enemies, chests, and missions, and it's random. Depending on the mission difficulty, the loot will have different ranks, higher rank, better stats, like armor and damage. The quality of the loot will also, of course, determine the damage, and the higher the quality, the better the weapon or armor is. And it also gives more secondary stats like resistance or lightning damage or something like that. Now, loot rarity can also be increased at rest checkpoints. In when you're running through the dungeons, you get a choice at some certain points to either rest and restock or increase loot rarity. Resting will regenerate health, remove the stamina soft block, and refill all your potions. This will also create a new spawn point, so if you die, you and your party will get to respawn there. Now, ideally you would like to communicate with your team on what to do, but most choose loot rarity. So with increased loot rarity, you get a higher chance of getting better loot. Now, there's one thing I want to point out here. The loot is nice, and I do like the loot. It's a bit too mixed though, because my highest leveled character has gotten some legendaries. My main character that I started with didn't get any legendary loot until level, I would say 13, which was about maybe 3-4 hours into the game with that character. But my another character I started got legendary loot on the first run I did solo. I did one of the easy I did on the easiest difficulty and my first run with a level 1 character, and I got two legendaries. I think it was ridiculous, but anyway, that's how it is. This could change in the future, of course, but the loot, the random loot can be a bit weird. Now, going back to communication. Playing with randoms will most likely limit this, as they might not want to talk or not able to through the in-game voice chat. Sometimes you can find a nice teammate or group where you talk and have more fun, because it adds to the experience having someone to talk to. The game needs a text chat, in my opinion, though. Hopefully, this could be added in a future update, but as it stands now, there's no text chat, which kind of sucks. Voice chat is, well, it's pretty good actually. I didn't have any problems with it. Playing with friends and make use of maybe Discord or the in-game voice chat will of course remove most of these problems, if not all. So that's one way of looking at it. I do recommend playing with friends though, because that is much more fun. Now, to the meat of the game, the combat. I heard a lot of negative things about the combat, some lag issues and some latency problems. I have small latency problems, but nothing that affect me too much. There are some latency issues, mostly comes up with when I want to dodge out of a circle or a attack that the enemy is doing, and I think I do it in the correct time, but I don't, and I get hit anyway, and maybe even killed. This also comes in when I'm trying to block an attack from an enemy, and I, well, I press it too early or too late, and I don't block and I get hurt instead. Now, there are four different characters with, to me, very distinct different ways of fighting, with a few similar ways. Um, like your most characters have the combo that if you press backwards and the attack button at the same time, they all go jump backwards and they do an attack at the same time, like that. All characters also have two abilities to use, or two abilities at the start. You can purchase new abilities for the characters if depending on how you want to play them, more tanky or support or full DPS. Now, there's also the ultimate ability, of course. Uh, the ultimate ability, I don't think that one can be changed. As far as I know, there's no other secondary ultimate ability, at least not that I think of, because most abilities you can only change, well, the basic ability. The ultimate is just that, which is too bad. I would like to have a different kind of ultimate maybe, or the option to choose a different ultimate depending on what or how I'm playing. But yeah, another thing that could be fixed in a future update, but as it stands, too bad. Now let's go over the different character classes here. We have Catty Bree, and she is the Ranger, and I really like her moveset and combos. She's definitely a strong DPS character, but can sometimes be hard to regulate the stamina with. Uh, Especially in early games, I found myself draining her stamina like I don't know what, like really crazy. It dropped down to zero immediately after, and my soft block. The soft block on the stamina is the line that comes up that blocks the stamina from reaching full. It can't go. You can't get full stamina until you remove that soft block. Now, the soft block can be removed by drinking stamina potions, receiving stamina crystals that some enemies drop sometimes. There's also ultimate and health crystals that can be dropped, but these crystals are rare, so I wouldn't rely on that. I recommend purchasing a stamina potion and upgrading it so that you can regain that lost stamina. But that's early game. Once you have gotten some better gear and well, it seems to be kind of more balanced. I got more full stamina. My full stamina bar is increased and my stamina regeneration is higher. So it actually removed most of the problems with that I had with Katie Bree. What's kind of funny, she also doubles as the party's support healer if you choose that. She has a heal, uh, well, a area AoE heal even at the start when you choose her in at level 1. She has her heal and she has a rooting ability. A roots the enemies in place and makes them vulnerable to attack and they can't attack you. But the weird thing is, I mean, she works as a support, but it's still weird. But she can also get an ability that revives all her allies. So that's nice. So she can be played as a support in terms of her abilities. As for combos and attacks, well, not much support there except for the healing and revive ability, of course. Yeah, Brunar is the tank. He's the dwarf tank, and not much to say there. He's a standard tank, pretty much, but he can also doubles as a good DPS, but not as good as the other DPS characters. I love the animations for his character, the way he uses his axe to get up to ledges, but also his combos, again, very well animated. He is actually pretty fun to play as, even though he is a tank, he's pretty fun to play, and I've gotten actually the furthest with him. I've unlocked all his moves, and I have um, pretty good gear, and he's the highest level character I have for right now. Let's get over to Drizzt. He is the rogue of the band. He is fast and stealthy, mm, and even possibly the strongest DPS. Maybe. I guess this, of course, depends on who's playing him. But with a full party, every time I had a Drizzt in the party that has good gear, he has come on up. He has come out on top of the chart when it comes to damage and possibly kills. So he's a very good DPS, and he has some nice abilities that makes him very effective in combat, of course. He is a bit squishy, of course, as he is a DPS character, and well, he's very effective. Actually, many people seems to like him because I have played very little with him. Because when you're in a group, when you're searching for a group, only one of you can play that certain character. So yeah, there's that, which is too bad. But yeah, it kinds of self-explanatory why only one can play that character. Man, good, fast, and nicely animated close range attacks. I can't complain much about him. And lastly, we have Wolfgar, and he is the warrior DPS and wields a two-handed hammer. So he's not as fast as Katie or Drizzt, but he is strong, and there's no doubt about that. He has strong attacks which are not as fast as Drizzt, but he is still fast with his hammer, and he can take a bit more punishment. When it comes to combat, I have actually little complaints, and I feel like I'm alone in this actually. To me, the combat flows, and I don't find it button mashing, as you need to make combos and chain them together to maximize your damage. And this comes, this becomes more and more important the further you come into the game. So at higher difficulties, it's important to actually get these combos not exactly right, but as right as you can to actually maximize your damage. And of course, using potions and ultimate will also help you hopefully maximize your role in the party. Both cooldown reductions for support and tank maybe, and ultimate potion to increase your get up your ultimate again like immediately after you just used it. It can be very OP to use the ultimate potion at when you have upgraded that to the highest. Yeah, and unlocking new moves and try them out um, is satisfying in combat. And stringing several of them together can be very satisfying to me. I love the way my character moves and jumps and flies almost across the screen when I get that perfect combination. And speaking of that, there is one problem actually with the combat, and yeah, smaller bosses can be stun locked, especially when you're in a full party and you gang up on the boss. This makes it for a very easy, but a very boring fight. A very boring fight. Not all bosses are like this, especially the bigger ones are, of course, immune to that kind of stun lock. Well, mostly immune at least. And that's good, I guess, but they should make the smaller bosses also immune to the stun lock, at least in the way they are now, because now you can stun lock them through the entire fight. So that's not good. That should be fixed. I hope it is, or I hope it will be. So in the end, can I recommend this game? Yes, I can recommend this game if you have friends to play with and you like the type of combat that I have mostly described and you like what you see on the gameplay. So if you have friends to play with, yes, I do recommend it and it could be worth the full price. But playing, if you don't have any friends or friends who want to play this game, playing solo is not recommended actually. It's very unbalanced for solo playing and it gets quite boring as it takes a lot longer to get through the game or the dungeons. Now, playing with randoms is okay. I have had very little issues with playing in groups. So, yeah, I don't know what more to say. Playing with randoms, yeah, you could have some bad people or bad apples out there that might spoil the fun, but don't let them discourage you from playing with randoms because the majority of randoms are, they might not communicate much, but they are good people, good players. But yeah, well, that's my take on Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. This video became a little longer than I thought it would be, but hey, there we are. I've been Swippy92. Have a great life, and I hope to see you in future videos. Bye bye.